Welcome to Matriarch Alchemy. I'm Allie,
And I'm Amanda.
and today we are going to be talking about apologies that we didn't get and we may never even get.
And maybe accepting that that's okay.
I kind of was thinking this would be a good topic because it does cover like grief, but also maybe even like other relationships. Because you're
Hmm.
not always going to get an apology from people and you're craving it for that closure. Um,
Yeah.
and especially with like grief, you're never going to get that apology, especially.
Hmm.
And so I kind of was just thinking of, how have we moved past that or kind of moved through any of these apologies we're never going to get and how we've accepted that.
Yeah. I think it's also just mental strength, right? To be able to cope with things that have gone wrong and people that have
Mm-hmm.
treated you poorly and
Yeah.
realize that they may never have the enlightenment to apologize or feel that they did something wrong. And in fact, they may not even think that they did, right? So
Yeah.
you're dealing with all kinds of people in this world, but when it comes to grief or your particular situation, obviously, what your issue is his alcoholism or not showing up for you the way that you deserved. And that
Yeah.
and it's like, well, you ask yourself, was he capable still of showing up for you that way? And um,
Yeah. I
like could that have even changed? Or but it's like, why do we put that need for closure in our hearts and in our minds that we need that to move forward.
I mean, I do think closure is something that is important that a lot of us like do feel like we need, right? For
Hmm.
any relationship, whether it's family, friends, etc. Um, but especially in like a situation where you're grieving, it's it's hard because you do want closure. You won't like all these it's all the unanswered questions, right? Of why, how, like what could I have done, how could I have been better, but it's all about my own feelings, right? And it's
Hmm.
just like I need these answered questions, but you kind of have to learn to be okay with unanswered questions in this standpoint
Hmm.
and forgive them for, hey, maybe they were dealing with all of these things, or they're not mentally mature enough to have those conversations and discuss like why it didn't work out or why something happened, but also forgiving yourself for having like those feelings of all those questions, right?
Hmm.
um
Well, and I always think closure is an illusion. A lot of people obviously want to feel like they've made peace with something,
mhm.
but I think that's really where the strength and the answer is that you can make peace with it on your own. You can base it off past behavior. You can base it off what you already think you know. You don't
Right.
necessarily need to get everything resolved or everyone to agree with you. Or what I feel like I was always looking for is the person to understand my side and to agree with me, right? Like I would have closure if you agreed, yeah, you hurt me. Yeah, your behavior was wrong. But there's a power in being able to find your own closure without that, and it's just practice, right? We have to practice that.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
It makes me actually wonder about if maybe the need for closure is so like you know in our veins, say from firstborn women, is like we need control of that standpoint of like,
Mm,
okay, I need you to recognize your faults because I've done it. I've done whatever I've done and I'm here to help you. We always joke about the big sister like always wants to help you out with everything, and that's like I have to do it for
yeah.
myself, and I need to like turn the mirror around to other people and be like, look what I'm this is what I'm seeing. Do you see it? Accept it, move
Mm,
on. But I think we also have
yeah.
to just not everybody is fixable. not everybody is
It's for sure.
ready to accept their problems or shortcomings. And
No, I
um,
mean that's just it. Like we talked about that what in one of the last ones. Like you can't
mm,
force feed someone who's not yet ready to eat, and it's your father in particular. If you're waiting for that apology, or we discussed that, it's that's never going to come. But he also wasn't probably emotionally capable at the time, right, to truly admit and like sit with all the stuff he was dealing with, and
yeah, and
you
that's
may be feeling like you're more ready, or you're more evolved even than where he was in that place, because I never got any of that from his headspace, right? It was like
yeah.
banging my head against the wall.
I really do always try to like put myself in other people's shoes and understand like, okay, maybe this is what they're going through or whatever. But I do think some situations are harder than others to put yourself in their shoes. Just being like,
Hmm.
how could you treat me like that? Or how could you get to the point that you did? But
Yeah.
I do think I will say it's taken a long, it's taken almost 3 years to like sit in that, accept it, understand it a little bit more of like, okay, yeah, like I understand if he was struggling with all of these things. Giving an apology to me or trying to do something else was hard.
Hmm.
Um,
And what just being more aware of what people are capable of, you have to kind of keep that reality. I do think everyone is capable of
mm-hmm.
evolving and having growth and being mature and doing the right thing, but it's not always going
Yeah,
to happen. I mean, and it's not an age thing either. I see people reach this maturity in their 20s, and I know people who are 80 and still aren't there. So it's your willingness to sit with your own demons, your own faults, and then work through
right.
it. The forgiveness thing, that probably is kind of what has to happen for someone that can't give you an apology anymore, or never will. You just got to move on. It is what it is. It
Yeah,
taught you what it taught you. Like,
yeah.
how do
I
you
mean,
find your strength in that? That you don't need it. You don't need to sit here and tell someone that hurt you for an hour straight every reason why they hurt you and how they did you wrong to make you feel better. I mean, you think it would feel good, but what's it really doing? Like, do you just feel right?
but
You want
also
to
I
feel
do.
validated.
Yeah, I do. I think we all want to be validated. We all want to be, heard, right?
Hmm.
My voice does matter. But I do think it's like one of those patterns of if you've brought up the same things over and over about, hey, this is why you're hurting me and how you're doing it,
Hmm.
and someone isn't, they're still going to continue doing it. It's at that point where you're like, okay, I understand that they are never going to change or they're
Hmm.
never going to accept this in the time frame that I'm needing, or if it's becoming, more problematic. It's just
Yeah.
okay. I'm never gonna get it. I need to accept that for myself. Um, but it's like, what other ways do you have out there to kind of help yourself to accept that rather than just stewing in it for the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah. I don't know if it's just not feeling validated that really sets people off, or if it's,
What
I,
you're
I do
trying to
feel like
say?
some of them just seem like they want to get back at them for hurting them. Or tell me about your letter writing thought.
I feel like there are a lot of other ways to go about that, but I think the best thing, especially with grief, was you have all of this unanswered questions, unanswered feelings, and I ended up like writing a letter to myself as if it was from him of all the
Hmm.
things I needed to hear from what I would think, in his headspace or whatever, he'd be able to communicate. I'm not going to add anything extra that he would never say or never communicate. But I do think having that of like, okay, this is how I am able to process it of here's what I need to hear. I have
Yeah.
proof that it's here. I know these are things he would have said, but he couldn't. So I don't know. It might not be completely great for every situation, but that was something that I got to a point where I just didn't know what else to do to for those feelings. But
Well, and I think that's kind of cathartic that it's healing to give yourself that, especially after a death, where I do think people have a lot of strings and hope hanging on with like their estranged family or an ex or whatever, with that they're going to have some peace and closure and clarity one day and that apology. But that's expecting another person to do something in their own healing, right? Which, of course, we desire that, but can we expect that of others?
it's like
And
one of
and
those.
honestly, I mean, I've gone through things with people in my life, in my circle, that I've tried writing a letter or pointing out like how their behavior, maybe even in long term, really hurt me, and got met with a lot of defensiveness and, well, I don't remember it that way, and I just want to be happy now, and let's just not talk about it, brush it under the rug. And those people aren't willing to ever sit with themselves, and that's the difference of they don't heal, they don't get better, they don't grow. And you got
I
to
think
make a
it's
decision if you want to be around people like that anymore.
yeah, but also like the understanding that not everybody is going to grow, even the people that you love. Like, no matter what
Yeah.
you say 1,000 times and their behavior hasn't changed, it's okay, they may never change. They're stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
They don't want to sit with their demons or they don't want to sit with any of those thoughts because it's scary, right? It is scary for self growth. I mean, I think you and I both can attest that you get to a point where you're like, I'm not ready for that. But you just have to accept that a lot of other people just don't get to that point or they're not ready for a lot longer until many other times happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, they sometimes have to learn the lesson by going through a lot more things before they're willing to realize like maybe they're the problem. If every job you ever have, you have a terrible boss and you're always getting fired or you have to quit, and maybe it's you. Maybe.
Maybe there's
I
an
don't
issue
know.
here. There is a
But I mean, just
common
sometimes like
factor.
that. So having what's it called? Self-awareness is huge. And it's kind of shocking how many people lack self-awareness. I mean, if you just walk through a store or at an
I
event,
know.
you can note how people are oblivious to others around them or what they're going through. Or, I mean, even in traffic, people are in their own head. They're oblivious to everyone else, oblivious to everybody's feelings, daily grind. Like, just,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, everyone else is an idiot and they're too slow and they're not doing what I need them to do. Would you ever say that you felt like not having the apologies, especially maybe right after he died? Like, were you angry about that? Did
Yeah.
you feel angry?
I feel like that's what I felt like for a long time was angry. It's just like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, the heck,
Yeah.
over and over. Like that was just I feel like for at least a year. I just was like, it wasn't sad. It wasn't anything else other than just like
Hmm.
annoyance. I don't know if that's like the easiest way to explain it, but it's it wasn't anger. It was, ugh, like, why'd you got to do that? It's so annoying. Like, okay.
Well, I guess your
Uh,
feelings are valid, whatever you experienced, right? And it's sort of like recognize your greatest fear about somebody who you've watched for a long time go down a wrong path, maybe in their poor life choices, if they don't take care of themselves, if they don't work on their career, but then becoming a addict. A lot of those things and the frustrations of not having self-awareness or dealing with their own shadows, it's definitely something like a lot of us, I think, already knew beforehand. So it was like a foreshadowing of, oh, this is the worst case scenario. But how awful when the worst case scenario actually happens, when you're hoping and you're hoping and you're hoping it resolves in a better, more positive way. So I think there is some anger in realizing, like, God, they could have tried harder. They could have done this. Should I have
I've
done
done
this?
everything for
Could
you
I
at
have
this
done
point.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those, like, I've helped you with everything. I've given you all the tools in the toolbox and the support. And then it's like,
Well, and there's help out there. Yeah, for sure. And I
kind of feel a little, I'm going to strangle you just a little bit.
just Google suicide hotline if you need someone to talk to and it's someone not in your family. Like, there is support. Talk it out. And
I think in the US it's 988 now. You can call or text 988 for suicide help in the United States.
okay, I think texting even is probably makes people feel like that's not
It's not as
invasive.
personable, which feels a little more
Call, yeah,
relaxing.
988, text them, hey, I'm having a really bad day. I'm really losing hope here. And because if you see how selfish it is and how it hurts everyone around, it's so awful. If nothing else, can you really do that to the people you love? Like, you can't think that your life is worse than what would happen if you did it. I mean, it's awful. It
Yeah.
destroys people, really tears them up, and it's not
You know what
fair.
I've learned in the last 3 years? Um, is the amount of people that you didn't even know that care about you or, think about you. I've had
Mm-hmm.
a friend in high school who committed suicide, and
Mm.
like the amount of shockwave that went through everybody during that time, but
Mm-hmm.
also, in both circumstances of him and my dad, it's like you don't realize how many people like do care about you or would have been there for you, or
If you'd spoken up,
if you had
but
just
I mean,
said something. I know it's hard if
it's
you're
hard to
in that,
say.
and I'm not here to discredit the feelings that people have felt during the
Well, and some
times.
people do feel really, really alone, and they don't have a support system, and they're trapped in a situation they do not know how to get out of.
And I can see how someone could feel like that, because like I could, even now, like when I'm surrounded by people, sometimes you feel so alone when you don't have, someone to connect to in the same aspect, or someone who
Yeah,
gets it, right? You can be surrounded by 4,000 people and still feel like you're the only person. So I can
for
understand, and
sure.
I'm not discrediting that, and I can only imagine the feeling that you're having if you're really in deep in that mindset.
The
So
hopelessness is something that obviously those of us that are not in that place would have a really hard time understanding. And one thing I got kind of upset about is after your father killed himself, a lot of people would just say to me, "Oh, it's so selfish." And
really,
it may be,
I didn't know
I
that.
don't know how you want to look at suicide, but I look at it as I am really grateful and blessed that I don't know what that feels like to be where that is my only option. So I just think some people have a deep feeling of hurt, but also shame that they don't know how to get out of whatever situation. And I know there's a lot of people that are lonely, there's people dealing with depression and mental health, but there's also people that have done something that they're going to be really embarrassed about that came out. Like, there's just a lot of things that can happen. And men historically commit, can't remember what the percentage is, but it's the majority of suicides are men. And they have not been raised in a manner that they think it's okay to talk about what they're going through. And they feel like they have to do everything on their own. Just handle it. Like you're weak and you're not pulled together if you're not handling it on your own. So that's sad that they don't have that level of support that I think they should have.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that is kind of like the toxic masculinity side where men are really struggling, feeling like they can share those feelings without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not like us women are really going to judge, right? Like, I've never thought if my partner or my dad or, brother, if they said anything to me, I never would have judged them, my friends either. But I think it's
I feel
between,
like I'd
especially
be
like those,
happy, like that they shared, right?
I think
I
it's a
mean, my
lot
goodness, if
between,
my partner or my son came to me and said, I feel so hopeless and I want to kill myself and here's what's going on, I'm so glad they told me, and I would be like, how can I help? And I mean, it's heartbreaking for that someone's in that position.
I think a lot of the issue though is like male relationships. I think it's getting better. And I can't fully be honest about that because I'm not a man and I'm not a 25-year-old man, but at least from what I've seen or experienced, like growing up through high school and even now, is like I do think men are getting better about talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a few different stories from some guys in my life where they're like friends have called them in the middle of the night and they're like, I need you to talk me down from this ledge.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right, deal. Like they got code words between each other to, hey, no, this is serious. And I'm glad that that is something that like guys are starting to communicate with each other. But I don't know if that's
Yeah, and I
something.
see a good community in military veterans starting
Mm-hmm.
to create groups where
Talk about
there's
it.
really cool group out there that I would have to relook up, but that I mean, they will send a local veteran to come see you and they will come to your house and talk to you. Like they're
Yeah,
really working to combat the veteran suicide from a standpoint of like, we will show up for each other still because it's a brotherhood. And the same thing within like firemen or police officers and whatnot. I think that they do have like a kind of a group. So if you're not someone that's in any of that kind of group, like sometimes I think people struggle to have that connection
yeah.
with other men that are willing to be helpful with them.
Go find yourself a veteran and make a friend with them. That's, I guess. I also,
They're
from what
pretty
I have
nice.
heard, a lot of the military itself, like in the last 10 years, has been really into making sure all the um, military members have access to mental health care, especially because the suicide
Mm-hmm.
rates are so high within the military. So I'm glad that that is
Mm.
getting better, and I'm hoping that those are being utilized. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like from like maybe a parent perspective that I can't give. What do you feel like as ways that you've been able to kind of like open that line of communication with your own children so that they feel like they're not alone or scared, or especially like raising a young man, like
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like you've done anything actively to make sure that he felt comfortable with those feelings?
I think for me, it was just being a loving parent and trying to create open communication,
Mm-hmm.
was all that was the only way that I knew, to be around you guys and to raise you. And I mean, I wasn't perfect. There's some stuff I wish I'd tweaked. I still don't think I was like a bad mom, but
But
I mean, I might look back on some things and be like,
hmm,
probably could have been harder on them.
hindsight's 20 what hindsight's 2020 when you're been through more, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing with kids is we had a really terrible situation you were in high school, but there was in the community, there was a 11-year-old, I think, that committed suicide. And the reason for the suicide was they broke something in the house and they had a fear that the parent would be mad at them.
Yeah, I remember that.
I did not, I mean, gosh, I would never want you guys to think like that is the situation. Even if you repeatedly did something really dumb, like there's going to be corrections that need to be made, and maybe you have to work off what you broke, or, you can deal with that though calmly as a parent.
But
And
nothing
I
is life
don't
or death.
know what I don't know for sure if, say, that parent was like the kind of hot-headed dad that screamed his head off at the kids if they broke something, or did something that made the kid scared, or if the kid just was like, oh my gosh, I screwed up, I can't handle it. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, like when you're parenting, you still have to remain approachable in your discipline, and you
Yeah.
have to be um I guess logical. It, I've seen these parents where, like, say, like, the son is screaming and yelling and doing things. Well, it adds zero help to it when the father starts doing it too. I know they think, oh my gosh, I have no way to get through to this person, but crazy anger is not going to calm down by more crazy anger.
When I do,
It's going to bring down because you're calm. You can still be firm. You can still deliver consequences, but without being an out of control psychopath. I mean, I've
yeah.
seen, I can't even tell you how many in my lifetime high school boys I know that have gotten into like fist fights with their dad out in the front yard. Let's just beat each other up. What? Never
You know,
happened in our house,
I think
but
a
I'm
lot of it
like,
is like learned behavior, right? So maybe this
mm-hmm,
is from
from their
especially
parents.
boys. Like we all know
Yeah.
boys are just as emotional as women. It's just they show it in just anger, because that's all they've been taught, is to focus all of their emotions, good or bad, into anger.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been, we talk it out. That's what, the joke, women, all they do is talk to each other, but it's good for our, mental health. We talk it out. But, when you see, I've seen the parents of like men who know how to emotionally talk and talk things out with their kids, especially their young boys. Their young boys are able to do those things. And they're like, hey, I want to be open and honest about something that's bugging me.
Yeah.
There's no fighting, there's no anger, but it's still peace.
The calmer the dad is, generally, the calmer the son is. You're not, I mean, now there's some other scenarios. I mean,
Yeah.
if your kid has mental health issues or they're abusing drugs and alcohol, they're probably having behaviors that are wildly out of control and different than
Yeah.
normal everyday stuff. But if I learned anything about parenting the last 25 years, it's that kids learn by your behavior more than what you tell them. Like, they're watching how you handle conflict. They're watching what you do. They're watching if you get mad. They're watching when you yell in traffic, and how you handle life and how you speak of other people affects them, and it
Yeah.
shapes them. And if you're a parent that is always speaking poorly of other people, then your kids are thinking, oh, this is how other people are thinking of me.
I just heard someone the other day was talking about that, like, you know how people struggle with like, oh my gosh, I wonder what people think of me and I wonder what they're saying behind closed doors about me. And it's because
Mm.
like they grew up with, or these kids like grew up with parents who were constantly talking negatively about everybody else. So these kids grow
Mm.
up to be like constantly worried that everyone like is talking poorly about them.
Yeah.
And I
And I know
mean,
some people that have some very strong personal beliefs and they say a lot of nasty things in their house that
hmm
turn into bullying and some bad behavior in the schools because you've
yeah.
already now allowed your kid to like you think you're teaching your kid to be that way, but well you are. It's not gonna alchemize the way you'd like it to.
No, I
Your
do.
kids
I think it's funny. I mean, I
causing
do
some
think
problems.
a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you just got to teach and raise your kids right," but then they've never done the healing to like be a good person, like,
Yeah, a
or
lot of
what kind of
people who say
behavior
some
are
of that. I'm like,
you?
you need to do the work, sir.
Well, it's like, what kind of work? What are you showing your kids
Yeah.
or your young
Mm.
men or your daughters on any behaviors or actions that you do when certain situations arise? You're teaching
Mhm.
them all of this.
How
I
you
mean,
speak to your wife, how you punch the drywall when you had a bad day, how you break a kid's toy when they didn't put it away,
yeah.
or they backtalked you, so you take their iPad and smash it on the floor. I mean, you look like you're also 6 years old. You're not really teaching them in the way that you need to teach them. But people get
Yeah.
frustrated, right? We make mistakes and you
But
learn.
it's
And I'll
also
tell you, I'll say one thing, like raising toddlers is the absolute hardest part of parenting. You are being strung out and exhausted by the most insane
a terrorist child.
a being that you can't rationalize with, right? So it's just and then that's the time in the relationship where you and the father have to start talking out the way you're going to discipline, the way you're going to raise your kid. So you have every element of irritation possible, as of being exhausted, and then all this manic, weird stuff happening. I mean, you can come down and find your entire spice cabinet emptied out on a sleeping person. I don't know how that happened.
All I remember is somebody was
Toddler
vacuuming my head.
mayhem. Toddler
Oh,
mayhem. Yeah, that was funny. Allie's brother got into the
decided to cook me up for
spices.
dinner.
She was taking a nap on the couch, and I just all I swear every parent story starts with I just stepped out of the room for 1 minute. I took a load of laundry upstairs, and I must have thought I'm just gonna put this away. And he went straight to the spice rack and seasoned her like she was a pig going into the pit. And then I came down into the spices, and I'm like, how do I clean this before she wakes up? Or like it doesn't go everywhere. And I vacuumed her in her sleep and she freaked out, but it worked.
Well, I mean, what great thinking. Like, how am I going to wake this toddler up without them throwing
Toddlers
spices
are
all
hard. I mean,
over?
teenagers are hard in a different way. I mean, and some of them can be extremely challenging, right? And the hard part is when you have violence, like I had in my house. So it's like, what do you do? My sibling had to be removed from the house when they were 16 years old. They weren't allowed to live with us anymore. One, because of the violence, and then I think two, because I think they dropped out of school. And so they were like, well, you need to get a job, you need to work now. And you're moving out.
You did this to yourself.
And what do you do?
Well, and
Enjoy the
that's like,
consequences of your choices.
and I
But
think that stuff that we have talked about before, though, is like, yes, I think it's important to always foster your children, but also sometimes you get to a point where you're like, this is all I can do.
mhm, yeah,
You get to a point where you're like, you're not listening to me. You're walking all over me. I'll have to kick you out, like because I can't. There's nothing else I can do. Um,
yeah, and it's hard to, I think, as a parent, accept watching your child go down a bad path because you feel responsible. You feel like it's your job to protect them and save them, even from themselves, right? But you can't always. Sometimes you actually need to let them suffer the
and learn.
consequences so they can maybe learn from that and hopefully they change. And you just, and they may go down a really terrible path. And especially if they're around other really bad kids, it could just make things even worse. But you only have so much control at that point. In the end, this person's choosing this life. What do you do, right? And but it's sad, and it's not what you want for your children. But it also is what it is. Did you have anything else to say about that? Because I was going to ask you a question. Okay,
Mm-mm.
so one of the things I was thinking about with the anger when I asked you is like, how do you alchemize then that anger into action and something else when you're not getting, that apology or that closure that you wished you had? Now what? I mean,
I don't know what
what
you
do
like.
we do when we're angry about it? I mean, does it just take time to simmer? Does it take acceptance? Like,
I
how do
think
you
it's
get past
acceptance.
being angry?
You have to learn to accept that, just accept reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a hard thing to like do. It's easy to say. Um,
Yeah.
accepting reality, but also understanding and forgiving yourself for there may be days that are going to be hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is one of those things. It's like, find a good way to like work through whatever those emotions are. That's what I had to do, was like, okay, I'm feeling angry about this X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel so angry? Why am I triggered or upset about this, whatever it is? And, working myself through that, whether that was me sitting down and actually just thinking or writing or journaling, or I found a lot of peace in the first like year and a half of after dealing with all of this. Was I put all my anger into the gym. But that
Well,
was a
and that's a
healthy
really
coping
healthy
mechanism.
way to cope with emotions for sure. I mean, my gosh, at least do something healthy for yourself.
Especially anger. I mean, shoot, you feel angry and you want to punch a wall. Okay, I'm gonna go lift 35 pounds in a shoulder
Yeah.
press. Like,
And I'll tell you, like, I don't have a lot of anger. It's not my reactive emotion.
yeah, same.
It's rare for me personally, but I tend to feel more hurt and sad, or I feel like the injustice of everything, where I'm like, ah, so wrong. Like, it's just so
That's the
wrong, but
problem.
I'm not mad.
It's
It's like a justice. I'm like Captain Marvel. Like, I'm going to fly over there and make it right. Like, that's what I want. I want justice, but I don't necessarily
the most
have
autistic
anger.
thing.
What?
So that is the most autistic thing that you could have said.
Oh,
It's
justice.
the
Oh.
struggle of injustice.
Mm. Yeah.
Because that's
Some things that just
what
aren't
you want.
right. And you
Law and
really are like, that
order.
doesn't sit well with me when people do things out of order, or like people who are comfortable. I was never comfortable breaking the rules for like a long time. Like, I do not break rules. And all I did was back talk because I needed to spread my justice. But like, I would like, I would laugh and going out with girls to like a concert, or we're goofing around and they're like, we're going to climb this fence and we're going to sneak into this party. And I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. We're going to
That's
do what?
horrible.
I'm terrified. But I'm excited and I want to, but
But
I'm scared, or
also
I'm also like,
pretty sure it's
I'll just go buy
wrong.
a ticket and I'll meet you on the other side. I'm like, oh, can I do that?
Yeah.
It's like, I
Yeah.
might freak out about it, but I'm like, I want to be fun. But yeah, so the injustices of people that do things so wrong to you definitely really bothered me. And I wouldn't say that I'm vindictive.
No.
I don't want revenge, but I do think I feel good, or if things are made right. So if I'm nagging someone for closure, it's because I want them to see, I want them to be aware, I want them to make it right. In reality, it doesn't fix the thing that already happened necessarily, but it might give me mental peace about it. If just I was able to, I think what people want is that opportunity to speak their mind and tell someone, one, how they hurt them, and two, ask them, like, why did you do that? What's the deal? Like, I want to understand for next time, or there's not a next time,
I
right?
do
But
think it is that like understanding of like, because this is where I've always felt and is like, okay, but why would you ever feel it's okay to do that? Like,
hmm
I want the why. And the how does
hmm
your mind get from A to B into this situation? Because that doesn't make
how
sense
on
to me.
earth did you think that was okay?
Like, I need to know how, one, then I can at least, like, okay, not play mental gymnastics, but it kind of feels like it most of the time with that. But yeah,
It's
it is
really
like that.
hard to see people that are like they just struggling and they don't have structure in their life and they're oh, they can't pay their bills and they can't get things done and they're just all this turmoil all the time, but they just can't do what they need to do to straighten their life out. And it's possible, you're just not doing it.
I think it goes
I
into that,
mean,
like,
is it a type
you
B?
meet
No.
people that you, maybe. I just learned that there's a type C. I don't know.
You just learned that. Oh, there's more
Um,
types.
I do think it goes into that like mindset that you have to put yourself in though. It's like you see other people that have so much, they do so much, and you go, how do we have the same amount of hours in the day? Right? They're not
hmm
worried about all those other things that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I have goals and aspirations that I'm working towards, and if you don't fit in with those, they're not going to make time for that, right?
hmm
So, maybe it is that growth mindset of like, okay, what do I need to focus on myself, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, work, all the things. How can I fit all of those things into my day and only focus on the things to make me better?
hmm
And plan it out if you have to. Get your little planner out and schedule your hour by hour.
And this is, we'll have a whole nother talk about this, but it's really important to realize that you have every capability inside of you to
Mm-hmm.
remove all of your mental blocks, but
Yeah.
you have to just do it. Sometimes you just have to get out of your head and you have to forge forward. And you have to realize like I am capable of most of these things. This is a funny example. I There was a girl on TikTok who showed a video of her bedroom and it was a
Mm.
disaster, like chaos to the max. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened here? And she was like, I don't know what to do. I get so overwhelmed. Now I don't even know how to clean my room. And I replied and I gave her a list and I said, here's your punch list. It's this simple. I could have that room clean in probably an hour, right? The other thing is like, she's like, oh my gosh, I've been working on this for 6 hours. And I'm like, you're not working on it for 6 hours. You're moving one, folding one shirt, you're looking at a paper, then you're going on Instagram, and then you're going to reply to a Snapchat. How about you turn off your phone? You say, one, I'm not allowed to look at my phone until this job is done. Two, okay, it's pretty simple to make yourself a list. Clean up the food, clean up trash and dishes, clean up dirty clothes. Why don't you make your bed, put clean clothes on your bed, fold the clean clothes and hang them up. Now you have a way better space already where now you're like, what's going on in here? Is it schoolwork? Is it mail? Is it paper? Is it just my shoes? All these things could be tidied and quickly put in their little spot. Maybe your problem is you don't have a spot for your things. Maybe your space is small and it's a lot harder to keep organized.
I do
But
think
if
it can
you
become
just,
overwhelming for people
yeah, so if
for
you're just
having all of
always
those
setting
things at
stuff
once.
down, right? So this is
Yeah.
the thing. If you have ADD too or ADHD, you never put anything down.
Nope.
I saw this video and it was so funny, and I do it to myself now. And it's like if you're holding something, whatever it is that needs to be put away, it's don't put it down, put it away. Don't put it down, put it away. So it's like don't throw your sweater over the back of a chair. Don't set that cup down when it needs to. Don't even put it in the sink. Put it in the dishwasher. Like put it where it goes. Then you never ever have a mess, right? But that takes that tiny, tiny bit of discipline. Like what's going on in your head that you can't do it.
I think
So
it goes
removing your
into,
mental blocks,
and not
you
just
know.
for like, let's say these physical things, right, that are
hmm
great ways to describe that maybe that's how your mindset feels.
Hmm.
Like, I know when I've been super, super busy, it's like I have 4,000 things going at once in my head, and I'm like, where do I start? And it's that like paralysis of like, I've got too many things to choose from. I don't know priority.
Hmm.
And, you know, sometimes you just gotta go, okay, what's the worst thing that's gonna happen if the which one needs to get done first? And it's hard sometimes, but I do think that like mental clutter that you're talking about is it can be the same thing as like you can look at a dirty room and go, yeah, that's oof. Where do we start? But it's like
And
the
some of
same
them
thing with
look
like
so bad, but they're really not. I mean, if you look at
no.
what's happening there, I'm like, if you just made your bed and hung up your hoodies and made sure all dirty clothes were in a hamper and your dishes and trash were out, you're not really working with that much usually. I mean, what do you got in there? I mean, I've had my moments, but my room would get messy with clothes, like when I would try on a million outfits before school and then like not have time to hang them back up when I was trying to figure out what to wear. And so sometimes my room would look like a clothing explosion, and I would go to bed with all the clothes on my bed, and I just didn't care. And I mean, I remember there were some times where I did that, but for the most part, I'm like, it's clean. Like my bed's been made since 6 a.m. this morning. I'm tell you something funny. I made my bed this morning and lost my phone. It was in the bed.
That does happen. The other day we went to go clean our sheets and he threw them in the wash, and then 5 minutes later he goes, I can't find my phone. It was in the wash.
That's the worst feeling when you start the laundry and then you can't find your phone. You're like, oh no, oh no,
It was
and
in the wash.
mine's never
It's
been in
fine.
there, thank goodness. But I've worried multiple times that my phone went in because I will put it in a laundry basket and carry my laundry basket,
Um,
and then I'd be like, did I just put the phone in there?
I don't think
I need to
I've ever
stop
put
doing
my
that.
phone or anything in the wash. My thing used to be
Mm-mm.
chapstick in my pocket, but now I
Oh,
don't
that's
keep chapstick in
yes.
pockets. I only keep
When
them like
you and
in
your
my
brother
car in
were
my bag.
kids, that was my number one dryer problem was melted lip glosses in the dryer, and I'd be like, but
Well,
someone
now I
taught me
just
how to get it
found
out. Now I'm a pro at getting it out, but you can't really
now
get it
I
off the
find
clothes, but I
random
can get it
crap.
out of the dryer.
I just
What?
find random crap in our dryer, and it's not even my stuff. It's like random receipts from his work or other
Random
like
things in
little
the dryer.
pouches. Like
Episode 7. I always
sometimes I'm
find
like, why is there a
fingernails,
golf
like
tee
the
in?
stick-on fingernails.
Oh, I thought you were literally just saying
No, no,
fingernails, and I
no.
was
Like
like,
the girls like press on, glue on ones.
uh
And I'm
huh.
like, it's always one of your brother's girlfriends, just a random nail that was probably somewhere in the
It was
laundry.
like stuck
I'm
with
always like,
something.
what is this?
Huh.
I find them
I
everywhere.
don't know.
Or
We don't
their
really have much.
eyelashes.
It's
They
just
take, they peel their eyelashes off and just stick them on a windowsill or a table. And I'm always like, oh, I thought it was a spider. Oh, it's an eye. Why
I
would you
know.
take those off and not? I mean, I don't know. I guess do girls reuse them when they're
I
dirty?
don't know. I don't know.
You're like, I don't know, I don't know. Yeah, I was like,
I don't know. These are my
I
life
find
eyelashes.
eyelashes, and he doesn't
I
leave too
just
much around. Like he's actually quite tidy in some regards, like, but other regards, not. It's interesting. Outside of any other apologies we never got, what we can do with our anger, we've decided we don't know. Yeah, I'm
no. I
asking
think
you
the
what
best thing
you.
is help you cope. And I mean, it might be have finding a control over something in your life because sometimes it is the only thing that you feel like you have control over, right?
What do you
Whether
mean?
that is cleaning your house or doing your laundry, like whatever it is to find that
Order.
control, that order. Um, I find I get stressed
I
out when
find a
my
lot of us
house.
do that. I don't know how healthy it is, but like, yeah, I like having order in the
No,
house, but
I
it's
think it's
maybe I
healthy.
have mental clarity when everything's orderly.
I've heard even
Hmm.
neurologists or like psychologists or whatever have said like the state of someone's like room can tell you a lot about how they feel currently.
For their mind.
And but yeah, like if you do think about it, like when I've been super
Mm.
busy and I'm getting mentally like there's so much going on, like, okay, I realize there are certain parts of my life that do get like cluttery because that's
Mhm.
not top priority at the moment. But
Mm.
I do think to like keep up with that. I'm like, okay, I have to do at least like one thing a day of just whether it's putting something away
What
or
do you think about when your car is messy? It's the same thing.
I don't know. My car usually isn't that messy, so I feel like I have the opposite thing. My car is always super clean, except there might be like trash from the day of me grabbing lunch while I was driving in circles. But I haven't had time to
Yeah,
stop to
I
like
would
drop it
find
off
like you
somewhere.
just have a lot of like fast food cups and Starbucks cups and, or whatever.
That's I also
Don't
live
want
in
to
an
say
apartment, so like
coffee
bringing stuff
cups
in,
and
I think, but my car I usually try to keep pretty clean so that I'm not like too worried about it. It might just be like a few if I ran
yeah.
and grabbed coffee or whatever, but then
I don't
I live in an
vacuum my
apartment.
car every 5 minutes, but every time I get out of my car, every piece of trash, every cup, every drink comes out to the trash. Like I don't leave any of that. And if I did,
I try
it's just
I
a water bottle
try.
I'm reusing.
I try to bring trash out of my car, but a lot of the time when I live in an apartment, I don't have enough hands.
Okay, so
So,
for you, alchemizing anger is just having order. That's it.
order, but I also think like I don't know, I've done a lot into feeling like any emotions that I'm having, like I put it positively back into myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm feeling super angry or sad. Like, okay, I'm going to go do something for myself. That might be today I'm going to buy myself a coffee, but it might also be like I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to build some healthy habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think like having outlets where you can sit there and think through it, but it's not the only thing you're doing. You can't stew.
Yeah.
It's okay, I'm at the gym. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm getting a little sad, but like I'm working through it, which I feel like is a way to think through it, right? Or like
Yeah.
crocheting or whatever it is that you find your passion, painting, drawing, coloring, like whatever it is that you can do one thing while thinking about something. I do think you're better off processing it because you're not just stewing.
Yeah. And I think those days when we're struggling, whether we feel angry, frustrated, sad, and you need that, um, it's a reminder that those days you maybe just need care instead of powering through, right? And maybe you go take a bubble bath and listen to your favorite podcast.
Bubble bath.
And then you know,
I'm gonna take a bubble bath and listen to
have a nice,
Matriarch
healthy, yummy
Alchemy.
dinner, and you, whatever it is you like to do, read or just do something to feel like you took care of yourself. Whatever that is, give yourself a pedicure,
Face mask.
something that makes you feel like you're pouring a little love into yourself because that's what you're going to have to do to get through it. All that love that is bottled up inside of you that you can no longer give to that person that's gone.
Well, it's all the love or all the sadness that you think you feel for somebody, especially when they're gone. It's you're not grieving them. You have just so much love that you want to pour out into somebody and it has nowhere to go, right? And so, like, I definitely feel like I pushed a lot of that into like, how can I love myself?
Yeah, you have
And
to
it's like,
pour it into yourself.
because,
And I think that's a really healthy way to get through anything, like even the divorce, not just grief, a
yeah.
breakup. You have to love yourself. Okay, well, it's been fun talking to you.
Okay, bye.
Love you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Matriarch Alchemy. Tune in next week for yet another episode, and you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok.